My boss printed my Venmo history and thought I was committing fraud. And the worst part was not the accusation in her eyes. It was that I could not explain it, not without destroying someone else in the process. My name is Ava. I am 26 years old, and I work as an executive assistant at Hawthorne & Co., a mid-sized consulting firm in the business district downtown. I have been here for 3 years. 3 years of early mornings, late nights, and never once missing a deadline. I was finally up for promotion. Senior coordinator. A real title, a real salary, the kind of job that meant I could stop checking my bank account every time I bought groceries. The interview was scheduled for Friday at 2. I had prepared for weeks. I had a portfolio, I had talking points, I had practiced my answers in the mirror until they sounded natural. This was my shot, my one real chance to move up. You have to understand what this job meant to me. I grew up watching my mom work 2 jobs just to keep us in our apartment. I watched her come home at midnight with swollen feet and still get up at 5 to make sure I had breakfast before school. I promised myself that one day I would have the kind of job where I did not have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. This promotion was that job. Senior coordinator, $47,000 a year plus benefits. Enough to finally build a savings account. Enough to stop holding my breath every time my car made a weird noise. I had worked for this moment for 3 years. Every late night, every weekend email, every time I volunteered for a project no one else wanted. And now it was within reach. But that morning, everything changed. It started with a Slack message from my manager, Sophie. Ava, can you come to conference room B now, please? No context, no emoji, just those 9 words. My stomach tightened. Sophie never messaged like that. She was the type to add exclamation points and smiley faces even when she was annoyed. This message had nothing, just cold, clipped words. I walked down the hall with my coffee cup in my hand, running through every possible scenario. Had I missed something on a report? Scheduled a meeting wrong? Forwarded an email I should not have? The hallway felt longer than usual. I passed the break room, past the copy machine, past the little alcove where people took phone calls when they did not want anyone to hear. I pushed open the door to conference room B. Sophie was sitting at the head of the table. Next to her was a woman I recognized from HR. Her name was Harper. She had a laptop open in front of her and a yellow legal pad covered in handwritten notes. Neither of them was smiling. Close the door, Sophie said. I did. Sit down. I did that too. My hands were suddenly cold. I wrapped them around my coffee cup for warmth. And then Sophie reached into a manila folder and pulled out a piece of paper. She turned it around so I could see it. It was a screenshot. A Venmo screenshot. My Venmo screenshot. I saw my profile picture in the corner. I saw the list of transactions. And I saw the note attached to one of them. The note said, "For the thing, you know the thing, shh." It was a joke. A stupid, harmless joke I had typed 3 weeks ago when I sent $40 to my coworker Brandon. He had covered my lunch at the Thai place down the street. We had joked about keeping it secret because we had both claimed to be too busy to leave the office that day. And our manager had literally seen us walking back in with takeout bags. That was the thing. That was the shh. It was funny at the time. But sitting in that conference room staring at a printed version of my own words, the joke did not feel harmless anymore. "Can you tell us what this payment was for?" Harper asked. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that meant she was being careful. "It was just money I owed Brandon," I said. "He covered my lunch one day and I paid him back." Sophie's expression did not change. And the note? It was a joke. We were joking around. That is just how we talk. Harper wrote something on her legal pad. I wished I could see what it said. I wished I could know what she was thinking. "And the other payments?" she asked. I looked at the screenshot again. There were 3 more transactions highlighted in yellow. Someone had gone through and marked them. Someone had studied my payment history and decided these 4 were suspicious. $60 to someone named Brianna, $45 to someone named Tyler, and $80 to someone named Megan. All of them had vague notes. Things like, "For the favor, and you know what this is for," and part 2 of 3. My stomach dropped. "Those are just personal payments," I said. "Friends, coworkers, normal stuff." "Normal stuff," Sophie repeated. Her tone was flat. Skeptical. "Yes." Harper leaned forward. "Ava, we have received a report suggesting that these payments may be connected to misuse of company funds, specifically client reimbursements that were submitted but never distributed properly." I felt the blood drain from my face. "That is not true. We are not making any accusations at this time," Harper said. "This is just a fact-finding meeting, but we do need to understand the nature of these transactions." "They are personal," I said again. "They have nothing to do with work." Sophie tapped the screenshot with one finger. "Then why are 3 of the 4 people on this list current employees of Hawthorne & Co.?" I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. I could not answer that question. Not honestly. Not without explaining something I had promised to keep secret. The silence stretched between us. 5 seconds. 10. 15. "I need some time," I finally said. "You have until Wednesday," Sophie replied. "HR will schedule a follow-up meeting. I suggest you come prepared with documentation." She stood up. Harper stood up. The meeting was over. But my nightmare was just beginning. I walked back to my desk in a daze. My hands were shaking. My coffee had gone cold, and I did not even remember taking a sip. I set it down next to my keyboard and stared at my monitor without seeing anything on the screen. 48 hours, that was all I had to clear my name. And the only way to do that was to tell the truth about something I had sworn to keep hidden. Here's what actually happened. 6 weeks earlier, my coworker Megan came to me in tears. We were not close. She worked in a different department. Accounts something. I was never entirely sure, but she found me in the break room and asked if we could talk somewhere private. I barely knew her. We had exchanged maybe a dozen words in 3 years, but the look on her face made me say yes. We went to the stairwell. It was the only place in the office where you could be sure no one would overhear you. The acoustics were bad and nobody took the stairs. She told me that her car had been repossessed. She had missed 2 payments because her mom was in the hospital and she had been sending money home to help with bills. She did not have enough left over for rent. She was going to be evicted in 10 days. Her voice was shaking as she talked. She kept apologizing. For crying, for bothering me, for not having her life together. "I have never been in this situation before," she said. "I have always been the responsible one, the one who had a plan, and now I cannot even keep my apartment." She was not asking me for money. She was asking if I knew of any resources, any emergency funds, anything the company might offer. I did not know of any. Our company was not great about that kind of thing. They talked a lot about being a family, but when push came to shove, You were on your own. But I could not just walk away. I could not look at this woman, crying in a stairwell, and tell her sorry, good luck, hope it works out. So I did something impulsive. I pulled out my phone and Venmo'd her $80. It was all I could spare at the time. My rent was due in a week and my own bank account was not exactly overflowing. She started crying harder. She said she could not accept it. I told her it was not charity. It was a loan. She could pay me back whenever she was able. No pressure. No timeline. She hugged me. Right there in the stairwell. She hugged me and thanked me and made me promise not to tell anyone. I kept that promise. But the thing is, $80 was not enough. Not even close. Her rent was over $1,000. Her car payments were behind. Her mom's bills kept coming. So I started thinking, I knew other people at the company who had been through hard times. Brandon had mentioned once that he had been broke in college. So broke, he had eaten ramen for 3 months straight. Tyler had talked about helping his sister when she was going through a divorce. Brianna had organized a GoFundMe for a cousin a year ago. These were people who understood what it felt like to be one emergency away from disaster. I reached out to a few of them, quietly, privately. I asked if they would be willing to contribute to a small fund. No pressure. No judgment, just whatever they could spare. I did not tell them Megan's name. I just said it was for a coworker who was going through something difficult and needed help. Brandon said yes, he sent me $40. Tyler said yes, he sent me $45. Brianna said yes, she sent me $60. I combined it all and sent it to Megan in 3 installments so it would not look suspicious on her bank statements. I did not want anyone at her bank asking questions. I did not want her landlord wondering where she suddenly got all this money. That was the thing. That was the favor. That was part 2 of 3. It was not fraud. It was not theft. It was not misuse of company funds. It was just people helping people. But now someone had reported it as something sinister. Someone had taken a screenshot of my Venmo history and handed it to HR like evidence of a crime. And I had no idea who. I spent the rest of Monday trying to act normal. I answered emails. I updated spreadsheets. I smiled at people in the hallway. But inside, I was falling apart. Every time someone looked at me, I wondered if they knew. Every time someone walked by without saying hi, I wondered if they had already decided I was guilty. At 5:15, I got a Slack notification. It was from a channel I was not supposed to see. Someone had accidentally added me to a group chat called Water Cooler Chat that was clearly meant to be private. I should have left immediately. I should have removed myself without reading anything. But I did not. I scrolled up, and I saw my name. Did you hear about Ava? Someone had written. I did not recognize the username. Could have been anyone. The Venmo thing? Another person replied. Yeah, apparently she was skimming client reimbursements. No way. That is what I heard. HR is investigating. Wow, I always thought she was so put together. Guess you never really know people. I heard she might get fired. Before her promotion interview? That is rough. I mean, if she actually stole money, she deserves it. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. The rumor was already spreading. And it was worse than I thought. They were not just saying I had done something suspicious. They were saying I had stolen. They were saying I deserved to be fired. They were saying I was not who I appeared to be. I removed myself from the channel without saying anything, but the damage was done. By Tuesday morning, the whole office would know. I went home that night and sat in my car in the parking lot of my apartment building for 20 minutes. I could not bring myself to go inside. Going inside meant the day was real. Going inside meant I had to face what was happening. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. How is my star doing? Ready to nail that interview on Friday? I stared at the message. I had told her about the promotion 3 weeks ago. She had cried happy tears. She had said she was proud of me. She had said all her hard work was worth it because I was going to have the life she never got to have. I could not tell her about this. Not yet. Not until I knew how it was going to end. I typed back, getting ready, talk soon, love you. Then I went inside and made myself a frozen dinner I could barely taste. That night, I barely slept. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through my options over and over again. Option 1, tell HR the truth. Explain the mutual aid fund. Provide receipts. But that would mean exposing Megan. It would mean revealing her financial struggles to the entire company. It would mean breaking my promise. Option 2, stay silent, refuse to explain, hope the investigation found nothing. Option 3, find out who reported me. Understand their motivation. Maybe find a way to resolve this without dragging everyone else into it. I chose option 3. On Tuesday morning, I arrived at the office early. The parking lot was half empty. The building was quiet. Most people did not get in until 9. I went straight to Brandon's desk. He was already there, which surprised me. Brandon was not a morning person. He usually rolled in at 9:15 with a coffee the size of his head. But today, he was at his desk by 7:30. His face was pale. He looked like he had not slept either. We need to talk, I said. He looked up from his computer. I know. Did you hear the rumor? He nodded. It is everywhere. People are saying you stole money. I did not steal anything. You know that. You were part of it. He lowered his voice, looked around to make sure no one was listening. I know, but Ava, I cannot get involved. I have a performance review next month. If HR finds out I was sending you money without knowing what it was for, you did know what it was for. I know, but I cannot prove that. All I have is a Venmo note that says for the thing. That could mean anything. I felt a flash of frustration. So you are just going to let me take the fall? I am not letting you do anything. I am just saying I cannot be the one to fix this. I have rent. I have student loans. I cannot afford to lose my job. I took a breath, counted to 5, let it out. He was scared. I understood that. Everyone is scared when their livelihood is on the line. I could not blame him for wanting to protect himself, but it still hurt. Fine, I said. But can you at least tell me who reported it? Do you know? He hesitated. His eyes darted toward the hallway, then back to me. I might. Who? He glanced around again, leaned closer, dropped his voice to barely above a whisper. I think it was Lily. Lily! The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Lily worked in accounts payable. She was quiet, kept to herself. I had maybe spoken to her 5 times in 3 years, mostly just hello in the break room or excuse me in the hallway. Why would Lily report me? I asked. Brandon shrugged. I do not know, but I saw her coming out of Sophie's office yesterday morning, right before your meeting. She looked nervous, like she had just done something big. I thanked him and walked away. But before I went looking for Lily, I wanted to check on Tyler and Brianna. Maybe they would be more willing to help. Maybe they would back me up. I found Tyler in the break room heating up his lunch. Hey, I said, can we talk? He did not even look at me, just stared at the microwave timer counting down. I do not think that is a good idea. Tyler, please. You know what really happened with that money? I know what you told me happened. I do not know anything else. That is not fair. He finally turned around. His expression was hard, closed off. Ava, I have a family. I have 2 kids in daycare. Do you know how much that costs? I cannot risk this job. I am not asking you to risk anything. I just need you to tell the truth. The truth is complicated. And right now, I do not want to be anywhere near complicated. The microwave beeped. He grabbed his food and walked out without another word. Brianna was worse. She saw me coming down the hall and literally turned around and went the other way. When I tried to catch up to her, she ducked into the bathroom. I stood outside for a moment, feeling like a ghost. Like I was already gone and everyone was just waiting for it to become official. 3 people I had trusted, 3 people I had helped, and all 3 of them were running away. I understood their fear. I really did. But understanding it did not make it hurt less. My mind was spinning as I walked back toward my desk. Lily. Why Lily? I barely knew her. I had never borrowed money from her. I had never even asked her to contribute to the fund. She was not connected to any of this. So why would she go out of her way to report me? I decided to find out. I spent the morning watching, waiting, looking for an opportunity. I found Lily in the break room around 11. She was standing by the coffee machine, stirring creamer into a cup with a plastic spoon. Her back was to the door. She did not hear me come in. Hey, I said. She flinched. Actually flinched. Like I had snuck up on her in a dark alley. Hi, she said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Her hand was shaking. The spoon clinked against the edge of her cup. Can we talk for a second? She looked at the door, then at me, then at the door again. I am kind of busy. It will only take a minute. She hesitated. I watched her face. I could see the calculation happening. She was trying to figure out if she could get away, trying to figure out if saying no would make things worse. Finally, she nodded. We stepped into the hallway. I kept my voice calm, neutral, non-threatening. I heard you talk to Sophie yesterday, I said. Her face went white. Who told you that? It does not matter. I just want to understand. Did you report something about me? She did not answer, but her silence was answer enough. Why? I asked. What did I do to you? She looked down at her coffee cup. Her hands were still shaking. A little bit of liquid sloshed over the edge and dripped onto the carpet. I did not mean for it to go this far. What do you mean? I just mentioned something to Sophie. I did not think she would turn it into a whole investigation. What did you mention? She finally looked up. Her eyes were red. She had been crying recently. Maybe this morning, maybe last night. I could not tell. I saw your Venmo. You left your phone on your desk a few weeks ago and it buzzed and I glanced at the screen and I saw the payments. I saw the notes. So you took a screenshot? No, I just remembered them. And then last week I heard you talking to Brandon in the hallway. You said something about the fund and keeping it quiet. And I got scared. Scared of what? Her voice cracked. I got scammed last year, online. Someone I trusted asked me to send them money and I did. And it turned out to be a whole scheme and I lost $2,000 and HR did nothing because it was a personal matter and She stopped, took a breath, tried to steady herself. I just did not want it to happen to someone else. I thought maybe you were running some kind of scam. I thought I was protecting people. I stared at her. All this time, I had been imagining some villain, some jealous coworker who wanted to sabotage my promotion, some petty person with a grudge who had been waiting for an opportunity to take me down. But Lily was not a villain. She was just scared. She had been hurt before and she was trying to prevent it from happening again. She made the wrong call. She jumped to conclusions. She caused a huge mess, but she did it because she was trying to help. I did not know what to say. I am so sorry, she whispered. Tears were starting to fall now. I did not know it was something good. I did not know you were helping someone. You could not have known, I said, because I kept it secret. What are you going to do? I thought about it. I thought about HR. I thought about Sophie. I thought about Megan and Brandon and Tyler and Brianna and everyone else who would be dragged into this if I did not find a way to end it. I do not know yet, I said, but I will figure it out. I left her standing in the hallway and went back to my desk. I had answers now. I understood the situation, but I still did not have a solution. The follow-up meeting was tomorrow. I had less than 24 hours. That afternoon, things got even worse. I got called into a quick meeting with Derek from finance. He had some questions about expense reports I had submitted 3 months ago. Routine stuff, he said. Just double-checking some numbers. But the timing was not routine. The timing was suspicious. They were going through everything. Every record, every submission, looking for something else to pin on me. I sat in that meeting and answered every question calmly. I showed him the receipts. I explained the categories. I did not let him see that my hands were shaking under the table. After the meeting, I went to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall for 5 minutes. I just needed to breathe. I just needed a moment where no one was looking at me. That night, I seriously considered quitting. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open to my resume. I thought about how easy it would be. Send a resignation email, pack up my desk, walk away before they could push me out. At least that way I would have some control. At least that way it would be my choice. I pulled up a job board and started scrolling. There were other companies, other positions. I was qualified. I could find something else. But then I thought about Megan and Brandon and Tyler and Brianna. If I quit, the investigation would probably end, but the rumors would not. People would assume I left because I was guilty. And if anyone ever connected the dots back to the others, they would all be tarred with the same brush. Running would not just hurt me. It would hurt everyone who had trusted me. I closed the laptop. I was not going to run. I was going to fight. That afternoon, I noticed people avoiding me. It was subtle at first. Someone who usually said hi just nodded and kept walking. Someone else changed direction when they saw me coming down the hall. But by 3 p.m., it was obvious. I went to the break room to refill my water bottle. 3 people were already there, chatting by the snack machine. When I walked in, they stopped talking. One of them actually excused himself and left. The message was clear. I was already guilty in their eyes. I filled my water bottle in silence. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight. I could feel the other 2 people watching me, judging me, deciding what kind of person I was based on a rumor. This is what it feels like, I thought. This is what happens when people decide who you are before you get a chance to tell them. That night, I called Megan. I told her everything. The screenshot, the HR meeting, The rumor, the fact that I might have to explain where the money went in order to clear my name. She was silent for a long time. I could hear her breathing. I could hear the television in the background. Someone was laughing on whatever show she had been watching before I called. "You can tell them," she finally said. "Are you sure?" "No, I am terrified. I do not want people at work knowing my business. I worked so hard to keep it quiet. I did not want to be the girl with problems. I just wanted to be normal." Her voice broke on the last word. "But I am not going to let you lose your job because you helped me," she continued. "That would be the worst thing. That would make all of it mean nothing. It might not come to that. I might be able to explain without giving all the details." "Do what you have to do," she said. "I trust you." Those 3 words hit me harder than anything else that had happened all week. I trust you. I had spent 3 days feeling like a criminal, feeling like everyone was looking at me and seeing someone dishonest, someone shady, someone who could not be trusted. But Megan trusted me, and so did Brandon, even though he was too scared to say it publicly. And Tyler and Brianna, they trusted me enough to give me their money. They trusted me enough to let me handle it. They trusted me enough to stay quiet, even when staying quiet put them at risk. I was not going to let them down. That night, I stayed up late. I went through my phone. I pulled every receipt, every screenshot, every piece of evidence that showed what the money was actually for. I made a timeline. I made a chart. I wrote out an explanation that was clear and honest without revealing anything that did not need to be revealed. And I called Megan one more time. I asked her if she would be willing to write a statement, something I could show HR to corroborate my story, something that confirmed the payments were legitimate without going into detail about her personal situation. She said yes. She wrote it that night. She signed it. She scanned it and sent it to me at 6:45 in the morning. She did all of that even though it scared her, because she trusted me. On Wednesday morning, I walked into conference room B with a folder in my hand. Sophie was already there. So was Harper. So was someone new, a man I did not recognize. He introduced himself as Nathan from legal. Great, they had brought a lawyer. The room felt smaller than it had on Monday. The air felt heavier. I could feel the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down on me. I sat down. I set my folder on the table. I looked Sophie in the eye. "Before you ask me any questions," I said, "I would like to make a statement." Harper glanced at Nathan. Nathan nodded. "Go ahead," Sophie said. I opened my folder. Inside were printed screenshots. Bank statements. A timeline I had put together the night before. 6 weeks ago, I began. A coworker came to me with a personal emergency. She was facing eviction. She had no savings. She had nowhere else to turn. I did not say Megan's name, not yet. I gave her what I could, but it was not enough. So I reached out to a few other people. Friends, coworkers, people I trusted. I asked if they would be willing to contribute. They said yes. I laid out the first screenshot. It showed a Venmo payment from Brandon to me. "This is the $40 from Brandon. He sent it to me. I sent it to the person in need." I laid out the second screenshot, Tyler's payment. "This is the $45 from Tyler." Same thing. I laid out the third, Brianna's payment. "And this is the 60 from Brianna." I laid out the final one, my payment to Megan. $80, then another 60, then the rest. I combined all of it and distributed it in 3 installments. The notes were intentionally vague because the person asked me to protect her privacy. She did not want anyone at work to know about her situation. I closed the folder. That is what the payments were for. That is the full story. No client funds were involved. No company money was touched. It was just people helping people. The room was silent. Harper was the first to speak. "Can you verify this with the recipient?" I hesitated. "I can, but I would prefer not to involve her unless absolutely necessary. She is already dealing with a lot. We need some form of corroboration," Nathan said. "Otherwise, this is just your word against an anonymous report." I had expected that. I pulled out one more piece of paper. "This is a signed statement," I said, "from the recipient. She agreed to confirm the nature of the payments if needed, but she asked that her identity remain confidential within this room." Harper took the statement, read it. Her expression did not change, but I saw something shift in her eyes, something that might have been relief. She passed it to Nathan. Nathan read it, studied it, passed it to Sophie. Sophie read it slowly, then she set it down, looked at me. "Why did you not just tell us this on Monday?" "Because I made a promise. I told her I would not share her situation with anyone. I was trying to protect her, even at the cost of your own reputation." "Yes." Sophie leaned back in her chair. "That is either very admirable or very foolish." "Probably both," I said. She almost smiled. "Almost. We will need to verify the statement," Harper said. "But assuming it checks out, I do not see any grounds for disciplinary action." I exhaled. For the first time in 3 days, I felt like I could breathe. "There is one more thing," I said. Sophie raised an eyebrow. "I know who reported me. I spoke with her yesterday. She thought she was doing the right thing. She had been scammed before, and she was worried that something similar was happening here." "You are not asking us to take action against her?" "No, I am asking you to talk to her. Let her know the situation is resolved. And maybe consider that if employees had a better way to report concerns, something that felt safe and confidential, she might have come to you with questions instead of assumptions." Sophie exchanged a look with Harper, then with Nathan. "That is a fair point," she said. I nodded. "And one more thing. The rumor that spread through the office, the one about me skimming client funds, I would like that corrected, publicly." Sophie's expression shifted. "That might be difficult. I understand, but my reputation matters. If I am going to continue working here, especially if I am going to be considered for promotion, I need people to know the truth." "You are still thinking about the promotion?" I never stopped thinking about it. This situation did not change who I am or what I have accomplished. It just showed me that communication matters, that assumptions can destroy people, that silence is not always protection. I paused. Let the words land. I want the job. I have earned it, but I also want to work somewhere that does not assume the worst about its employees. So if this company cannot commit to that, then maybe the job is not worth having. It was a risk, a big one. I was essentially setting a condition on my own promotion, but I meant every word. Sophie studied me for a long moment, then she stood up. "I will speak with leadership," she said. "We will send a company-wide clarification by end of day, and your promotion interview will proceed as scheduled on Friday." I stood up too. "Thank you." She reached out and shook my hand. "Do not thank me yet. You still have to ace the interview." I smiled. I intend to. I walked out of that conference room feeling lighter than I had in days. The weight was not completely gone, but it was manageable now. I could carry it. The rest of Wednesday passed in a blur. I finished my work. I answered emails. I avoided eye contact with anyone who looked like they wanted to gossip. At 4:53, an email went out to the entire company. It was from Sophie. The subject line read, "Clarification regarding recent rumors." The body was short, professional, carefully worded. It said that a recent internal inquiry had concluded without any findings of misconduct. It said that rumors circulating about a specific employee were unfounded and should not be repeated. It said that the company was committed to a culture of fairness and would be reviewing its reporting procedures to ensure concerns could be raised appropriately. It did not mention my name, but everyone knew who it was about. Within minutes, my inbox started filling up. Messages from coworkers, some apologizing for believing the rumor, some thanking me for being professional about the whole thing, some just saying, "Hey, glad it worked out." One message just said, "I should have asked you before I assumed. I am sorry." It was unsigned, but I had a feeling I knew who sent it. Brandon stopped by my desk around 5. "You good? Getting there? For what it is worth, I should have backed you up sooner. I was scared. That is not an excuse, but it is the truth. I know it is okay. It is not okay, but I am going to do better. If you ever need backup again, I am there. No hesitation." I believed him. People make mistakes. What matters is what they do next. Megan called me that evening. I saw the email. She said, "Did it work?" It worked. The investigation is closed. My interview is still on. I am so relieved. I was so scared I had ruined everything for you. You did not ruin anything. You let me help you. That is all. She was quiet for a moment. I paid off my first catch-up payment yesterday. I am on a plan now. My landlord is working with me. I am going to be okay. I am really glad. And Ava, thank you. Not just for the money, for treating me like a person, for not making me feel small. I felt my eyes sting. That is what we do. We look out for each other. On Thursday, I ran into Lily in the parking garage. She was walking to her car. I was walking to mine. We saw each other from about 30 feet away and both stopped. She looked nervous, like she expected me to yell at her. I did not yell. I walked over. "I heard the investigation is closed," she said. "It is. I am so sorry. I should have asked you directly. I should have given you a chance to explain." "Yes, you should have." She flinched. "But I also understand why you did not. You were scared. You had been hurt before. You were trying to prevent that from happening to someone else. That does not make it okay." "No, it does not, but it makes it understandable." I looked at her. Really looked. She was not a bad person. She was a person who had made a bad choice because she was afraid. I had been that person before. We all had been. "Here is what I need from you," I said. "If you ever have a concern about me again, or about anyone, come to me first. Ask questions before you make assumptions. Give people the chance to explain." She nodded. "I will, I promise." "Good. Then we are okay." She looked surprised. Really? Really? I am not going to hold this against you forever. That would make me the kind of person I do not want to be." She smiled. It was small, tentative, but real. "Thank you, Ava." "You are welcome, Lily." She got in her car. I got in mine. We drove away in different directions, but something had shifted between us. Something that might eventually become trust. Friday came faster than I expected. I barely slept Thursday night. Not because I was anxious, because I was ready. Because I had been through something hard and come out the other side, and now I wanted to prove that it had not broken me. I walked into the interview at 2 p.m. wearing my best blazer and carrying a portfolio of my accomplishments. 3 years of work, documented and organized. The panel was Sophie, Nathan from legal, and a senior director I had never met named Jordan. Jordan had gray hair and kind eyes. He looked like someone's dad. He looked like someone who had seen a lot of interviews and was not easily impressed. There was also a fourth chair at the table, empty. A notepad and pen sat in front of it. Someone else was supposed to be there. "We are just waiting for one more person," Sophie said. "She should be here any minute." The door opened. Harper from HR walked in. My stomach dropped. She was going to sit in on my promotion interview. The same woman who had questioned me on Monday. The same woman who had taken notes while I tried to explain why my Venmo history was not evidence of a crime. She sat down, opened her notepad, did not make eye contact. "Let us begin," Jordan said. "They asked me about my experience, my goals, my leadership philosophy. They asked me how I handled conflict, how I prioritized tasks, how I managed relationships with difficult stakeholders. I answered every question. I gave examples. I was specific and honest and confident. But the whole time, I could feel Harper watching me, evaluating me, deciding whether the woman who had been under investigation 4 days ago was the same woman sitting in front of her now." And then Jordan leaned forward and asked the question I had been dreading. "Tell us about a time you faced a professional challenge and how you handled it." I could have dodged it. I could have talked about a different challenge, a deadline I almost missed, a project that went sideways, a client who was unhappy, but I did not dodge it. "This week," I said. "This week was the hardest professional challenge I have ever faced." I told them everything, not the confidential details, not Megan's name or her situation, but the shape of it, the fear, the rumors, the choice I had to make between protecting myself and protecting someone else. I chose to protect her, I said, even when it cost me, even when I did not know how it would turn out, and I would make the same choice again. The room was quiet. Jordan nodded slowly. "That took courage." "It took desperation," I said, "but also, yes, courage." Sophie was watching me with an expression I could not read. Nathan was writing something on his notepad. "One more question," Jordan said. "What did you learn from this experience?" I thought about it. I thought about Lily and her fear. I thought about Brandon and his silence. I thought about Megan and her trust. "I learned that assumptions are dangerous," I said, "that people will fill in the blanks with their own stories if you do not give them the truth. And I learned that sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the right thing to do." Jordan smiled. "Thank you, Ava. We will be in touch." I walked out of the interview with no idea if I had gotten the job, but I knew I had been honest. I knew I had been myself, and that was enough. The weekend was the longest of my life. Saturday, I tried to stay busy. I cleaned my apartment. I did laundry. I went for a long walk around the park near my building, but my mind would not stop spinning. I kept replaying the interview, analyzing every word I had said, wondering if I had been too honest, wondering if talking about the investigation had been a mistake. Maybe they wanted someone who could pretend nothing had happened, someone who could move past it without looking back. But that was not me. I could not pretend. On Sunday, I finally called my mom. I told her everything. The screenshot, the investigation, the rumors, the interview. She was quiet for a long time. I am proud of you, she finally said. I might not get the job. I know I'm still proud of you. Why? Because you did the right thing, even when it was hard, even when it cost you. That is what I raised you to do. I felt tears burning in my eyes. What if the right thing was not enough? Then you will find another way. You always do. I hung up feeling a little lighter, a little less alone. Monday morning came. I got to the office early, sat at my desk, tried to focus on work. The call came Monday morning. Sophie's name on my phone, my heart pounding in my chest. Ava, she said, I wanted to let you know before the official announcement. You got the promotion. I had to sit down. My legs actually gave out. Really? Really? It was unanimous. Jordan was particularly impressed with your interview. He said you showed exactly the kind of integrity and judgment we need in leadership. I could not speak. My throat was too tight. Congratulations, Sophie said. You earned this. Thank you. I managed. Thank you so much. I hung up and stared at my phone for a full minute. Then I did something I had not done in a long time. I let myself cry. Not sad tears, happy ones. Relieved ones, the kind that come when you have been holding something heavy for so long and you finally get to put it down. The official announcement went out that afternoon. Senior coordinator, real title, real salary. Brandon was the first to congratulate me. He showed up at my desk with a cupcake from the bakery down the street. I told you I would do better, he said, starting now. Brianna came by next. Then Tyler, then a dozen other people I had worked with over the years. Megan texted me a single emoji, a heart. I sent one back. That evening, I was packing up my desk to move to my new office when Lily appeared in my doorway. I heard the news, she said. Congratulations. Thank you. She hesitated. I know I do not deserve this, but would you ever want to get coffee sometime? I feel like I owe you more than an apology. I feel like I owe you a chance to actually know me. I thought about it. A week ago, I would have said no. A week ago, I was too hurt, too angry, but a lot had changed in a week. Sure, I said, I would like that. She smiled, a real smile this time. Friday? Friday works. She left. I finished packing, and as I carried my box down the hallway to my new office, I thought about everything that had happened. A single Venmo note, a misunderstanding, a rumor, an investigation, a choice. It could have destroyed me, it almost did, but instead it showed me something important, something I had forgotten somewhere along the way. People are complicated. They make mistakes. They get scared. They hurt each other without meaning to. But they can also show up. They can listen. They can change. And sometimes, the thing that looks like the end is actually just the beginning. I set my box down on my new desk. I looked around my new office. I took a breath. Then I opened my laptop and got back to work. Because that is what you do. You keep going. You keep showing up. You keep choosing to believe that people are worth trusting, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, they prove you right. The following Friday, I had coffee with Lily. We met at a little cafe around the corner from the office. She was nervous at first, kept stirring her drink even though there was nothing left to stir. But after about 20 minutes, she started to relax. She told me about her life, about her scam experience, about how it had made her paranoid and suspicious, and how she hated that about herself. I used to trust people, she said, and now I see threats everywhere. I hate that someone did that to me. I nodded. Healing from that takes time, but you do not have to do it alone. By the end of the coffee, we were almost laughing. Not about what had happened, but about other things. Work stories, office gossip, normal stuff. We made plans to get lunch the following week. A week later, I got a Venmo notification. It was from Megan. The amount was $40, the first of many she had promised. The note said, part 1 of eventually, thank you for everything. I smiled. I accepted the payment. And I sent one back, $20. Because she needed it more than I did. The note said honor for the thing. You know the thing. She replied with a laughing emoji. Some jokes are worth keeping.